The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
Thank you for joining us here at ECAT, Easton Community Access Television. And we certainly recognize the fact that how important veterans are, and this is a special show that we welcome you to as we honor veterans. We also would like to, in this show, honor the men and women who serve in our armed forces, regardless of the branch. It could be Army, it could be Navy, it could be the Coast Guard. How about the Air Force? Let's not forget the Marines. And of course, we certainly want to remember the new Space Force. And of course, lots of people give their time and talent to serve in the military, and they make lots of sacrifices in order to do this. Let's meet our guest. Right next to me on my near left, we have Bill Brett. Bill, of course, we thank you so much for being here. And
thank you.
We're going to talk during the show about some books that you wrote and are writing. And of course, I know you grew up in Dorchester, and you've been very much attached to the Boston Globe. Folks, he's an award-winning photographer and journalist with the Boston Globe. But even as a kid, you were delivering the Boston Globe to folks in the Dorchester area. And you certainly have exemplified the spirit of giving back. And we'll talk about that during the show. We also have on my far left, Paul Doyle. Paul has done a lot of research that you'll hear about today, and I know you're very grateful for that.
Very grateful.
And I know that on my right here, we have an Eastonite, a longtime Eastonite. He's a guy who's young at heart. His name is Provost. And of course, he has served, he's a veteran with the U.S. Navy.
Correct.
I'm with the Army.
Correct.
And I have a stepson who is actually a two-star general with the U.S. Marine Corps, and how proud we are of him. So today we're here to talk about not just the military, but we're going to talk about how important it is to appreciate veterans, whether it be here in Easton, Massachusetts, or certainly across the country. And I think one of the nicest ways to start the show off before we do the interviews would be to recognize all the military, past, present, and of course the future military people that haven't actually signed up yet, but they'll be looking forward to serving our country. So we're going to play the Armed Forces medley, and it's going to be the theme song for the Army, the Navy, the Coast Guard, certainly the Air Force, the U.S. Marines, and of course the Space Force. Take it away.
Shout, counter marching all about, and those caissons go rolling along. For it's high, high in the field artillery,
Okay, we're back and welcome to a very special show here on ECAT. And of course, it's an opportunity for us to recognize veterans. Let's start with you, Bill Brett. I know that you've been with the Boston Globe a long time, and tell us a little bit of history about Bill Brett.
Okay, I started delivering newspapers in Dorchester when I was very young, and by the time I was 15, I had a camera. I just fascinated by photography. Nobody in my family knew what I was talking about, and I was very fortunate. I had two mentors that came in my life, Dan Sheehan and Don Bullman, that enlightened me in photography. And I went through high school. I started a program, and I was a junior in high school. It was a camera club. It was very small. And by the time I got out of high school, I was freelancing for local papers. Boston Globe was one of them. And by the time I was 20, I was on a staff photographer. I was a staff photographer, the youngest staff photographer the Globe to this day has ever hired. And since I grew up around the corner from the Globe, that was like an honor that I was able to go there. And I met some wonderful people through my career, who helped me through my career in photography and people. And I was so fortunate, by the time I was 20, I won the top award, the Spot News, of a woman jumping out a window in Roxbury at a fire. And those days, no motor drives, so you had to get the right picture. And subsequently, through my career, I did a lot of sports. I did inaugurations. I was in Rome when the Pope got his, when the Cardinal received his red hat. When I was 18, backtrack a little, 18, when JFK, 1973, was assassinated, I said to my mother, I just got out of high school, I said, I have to go down there and photograph it. My mother, I never left Dorchester, and I had a Volkswagen. It was 150,000 miles on it. And this other friend of mine, we got in the car and we had a credential from the Dorchester newspaper to go down to photograph it. And I got into the Rotunda and I made the photographs of the service and the procession along. It was the most, when I think of it, I was only a kid, but it was something that I'll always remember.
And then eventually, Bill, you became the lead photographer with the Boston Globe.
I did. I became
that's
director.
quite a position to hold.
Yeah, we had 30 photographers at the time, and I became director of photography, and it was a great experience. I had it for 10 years, and I finally came to the editor, and I said, I've got to go on the street. I belong on the streets. So he said, well, just 1 year, we'll find somebody. And it was Stan Grossfeld. I talked him into it. And he said to me, he says, that was the worst job I ever had. And I said, oh, you worry about film, you worry about sick days, you worry everything about photography, you know. So anyhow, I did that. I went back on the streets, and I won a couple of top awards again. I was lucky. And I covered the social scene for many years because I love people, and I like to show what these organizations are doing.
You know, I did a little background on you, Bill Brett, and I was truly amazed at the fact that you had a lot of fun.
I did.
Doing your job. You enjoyed photography.
Every day. And I have 4 children, and I've said to them all, if you love what you do, you don't go to work. And I really believed in that. And I was so fortunate that I didn't want to miss anything, because every day was an adventure. You didn't know what was going to happen, where you're going to be, what you'd see. And I just loved the streets because I knew the streets very well. I knew the people very well, and I had tremendous access to the police and to the fire because I grew up with a lot of these guys. And they became chiefs and deputies, and and it was a great experience. And
I've seen you 4 different times, and all 4 times you were with Paul. How did you get involved with Paul?
Paul was, I was in my first book, so it's 20 years ago. It was All One Family, and Paul called me and he said, doing Stonehill College. Stonehill College. He said the Irish Festival was here, and he was in charge of getting authors to speak. And I was one of them. And that's how we met, and we bonded from that day. And I don't know if he ever got a receipt. Did I ever get a check for that?
No,
No, okay. I was just kind of curious.
it's in arrears.
It's
It's,
in the arrears, you know.
yeah,
Honorarium, that's the word. At that time,
honorarium.
I didn't know what an honorarium was.
It was interesting. I've lived there, and I moved up from New Haven in Connecticut in 1978, and I used to see his photos in the Globe all the time, and I kept thinking to myself, boy, what a guy this guy must be. And then when I was doing all the authors down at Stonehill College at the Irish Cultural Center festivals, and I asked Bill if he wanted to do a reading and promote one of the books, and he did, among some other authors, and we kind of hit it off. And I remember one day I met him at a coffee shop, and he said, "You want to take a ride?" And I was like thrilled. I was asked to go for a ride with Bill Brett, and I said, "Sure." We went up on the North Shore somewhere, and he had to take a photo. And I remember I come home and I said to my wife, I said, "You're not going to believe it. I spent the afternoon with Bill Brett." And I think we became pals.
Yeah.
And then
I bought the
and we
coffee.
are. Yeah.
Just to put the record straight.
So that's
That's how
we bonded pretty good.
We
and,
bonded very well, and that was my lucky day. I've been very fortunate. I call mentors. And when I started this project, the book, he said, I'd love to meet these people. And beyond meeting them, we interviewed them. And I would photograph them. I'm done in 10 minutes. I'm ready to go. An hour later, he's still there. But he knew more about them, and he engaged us. And then I have to sit down, and I said, well, that's interesting. So without Paul, this book would be in the rear view mirror. And I have another person that's very helpful, Carol Baggy, who's the editor of it, and she's very thorough. And she asks him questions all day and all night, about first name, last name, middle, correct titles. And so we hit it off pretty good, and we had a lot of fun at it.
You know, one thing that I think is very special about this particular show is that we're talking about Veterans Appreciation. And I know Al Provost, he's very much into appreciation of veterans. And I'm hoping as we close in on Veterans Day coming up on November 11th,
Correct.
that not just in this community, but everywhere, that we salute the red, white, and blue, the American flag.
Right.
But we also salute the veterans who have served. And it takes a lot of sacrifices when you join the military, especially during war times. It's difficult for the family. It's difficult for the soldier.
That's right.
And Al, anything you'd like to say? I know Veterans Day means a lot to you as a veteran.
It does. I came out of the Korean War, and like everybody, there was ups and downs in our background career. And one of the things that really got to me, what's happening now, is meeting these guys and what they were accomplished, what I wanted to do for the veterans that I seen that had issues, and where they come forward. I felt that I'm going to put my time in while I'm still alive and help the ones that need help. And these guys have come forward, as you have helped. And I think it's great to see what's been accomplished. We've had some good meetings together, and we have come forward quite a bit, and I think this is going to help.
Yeah, it's very appropriate that we salute the veterans. Of course, here in the town of Easton, Mass, we're celebrating our 300th anniversary as a community rich in history. I know you did a lot of books for the Globe, I should say the Boston area, and you've been a writer and certainly a photographer that was a key photographer. I saw some of the photographs you've taken over the years. You've taken hundreds and thousands of photographs, but some of them kind of stood out. And today we're going to talk about your book, and I see all your books say Boston in front of it. If you change that BO to EA, Easton and Boston kind of sound alike.
Yeah, it's close.
And I know that you've done a lot of books in the past. Before we get into the book that talks about Veterans Appreciation, What are some of the other books? I
Well,
know there's about 7 or
My
8 that
first
you
book
actually
was,
wrote.
it was when I decided to do a book, because I cover the social scene and I get to know a lot of these people, so I decided to do a book. It's called One Family. It was movers and shakers of the city of Boston. It was proper. There was some people outside the city. And when I got the idea I started to photograph 1, 2, it just kept moving along. And then the big thing was, what's going to be on the cover? So the cover photograph, which was, I really thought about it. It was a rainy day, and I had my niece with me. We stopped at Walgreens in Dorchester, bought 3 umbrellas, black umbrellas, and I met these 3 men who were all mayors of Boston. They occupied the mayor's office for 48 years, three individuals, Kevin White, Tom Menino, and Ray Flynn. And I had an umbrella for each one. So I met them at the Boston Common, Public Garden, and it was pouring, and I gave them each an umbrella, and they kept saying, "Oh, boy, that's a nice idea." Well, it really made the picture like Singing in the Rain, the 3 men walking through
I saw that.
It was a nice picture. It was really, and I was so happy to make it. And then when the second book came out, people who didn't make the first book would call me and say, "You should include so-and-so." So I did a second book. It was the extended family. And what I wanted to do was, how do I match the first with the cover of the 3 mayors? So I lined up the 6 governors. There was 6 governors. Well, the 6th governor, Doyle, was just elected when I made the photograph. And I arranged for them to be at the front of the State House at a certain time. And it made a nice picture. The 6 of them coming down the hill.
Not only that, but it's not too often that you get 5 governors in the same spot.
No, it was interesting. 6 actually, well, he wasn't governor yet. Doyle he won the election, but he wasn't sworn in yet. And 2 of them, well, Mike Dukakis ran for president, Mitt Romney ran for president, so I think it was 2 out of 6. And Paul Cellucci, he was a great governor. He just died very young. And Jane Swift, and Bill Weld. But they were all different characters. And when I spoke to each one of them to line the picture up, the question was always say, well, who else has agreed to it? So I'd go, everybody has agreed to it except you. Oh, okay. And I go to the next person and tell him the same story because they want to know where they're going to stand. But it worked out great. And then the third book was the women. I did it with my daughter. She's a photographer also. And I wanted just the women of the city. And I picked the older women, and she picked the younger women. The older women have accomplished more than the younger women. And since my daughter is young, she stayed with that group, and I stayed with the older group. And it worked out great. It was a great experience for me as a father and a daughter to do a book together. And then the next one, we did the Boston Irish. And there's 50 years of first generation, second generation. So I just started tracking them all down. It was a mission of finding people. People always said to me, "How do you find them? How did you get to them?" And I said I was very lucky, because I get to photograph them socially over the years, so I get to know the CEOs and the movie stars, and it became easy. And then I did women. Extended the book about women after the Irish, and I went into the last book I had was 6 women, 6 women elected to the Boston City Council, which was the first time ever. And since then, one became a congresswoman, one became the attorney general, one became mayor of Boston, one became a state senator from East Boston. It was just how these women just excelled. And it was a nice picture to make. It was, actually Paul was with me when I made the photograph. And then now, so I was going to do a book on, actually my kids wanted to do a book about my history, about myself. And I said, that's all right. So during the pandemic, I sat with my daughter, Kerry, and we taped everything, stories. God forbid I'm not here tomorrow. There's 500 pretty good stories. And then I said, at lunch with Paul Wahlberg, which is Mark Wahlberg's older brother. He has a restaurant in Hingham. And this friend of mine, Jack Doherty, who owns College Hype, he does the hats. And another friend of mine, R.J. Valentine, is a race car driver. So they all were sitting there for lunch and Paul said, "What did you do on veterans? You ought to do something on veterans." And from that day I said, okay, So that's how I started. And it just kept mushrooming me all the way along. And it was, but I'll have to say one thing about this book, and Paul agrees with me. It was very hard, this book. It took me longer than normal because information was very difficult in some of these people. And some of the people decided after they were photographed not to be in the book for different reasons. And I didn't question anybody. And now the other part of the book, about 18, is it 18 now, Paul?
At least 18.
18 have passed away since I started the project. It was 2.5 years ago. But they were all elderly. They were sickly. You know, I mean, they weren't great health. And the value of the photograph now, every family that has touched bases with me to tell me that their uncle, grandfather, and the question they always ask, will he make the book? I said, absolutely. We photographed and he was interviewed. And I said, oh my God, this is going to be a piece of history. It's like they lit up. And I did something unusual that I've never done in the other books. I didn't move pictures out of the book until it was published. But I made exceptions for these people who passed away that let me know. And I dropped a photograph off to each funeral home. And they put it on a big easel. You know, it was just beautiful. And the letters I received, you think I dropped $1 million to all these people. It just meant so much to them, and it made me feel good.
You reached their heart.
Yes.
Here's what the book looks like, folks. Boston Veterans Appreciation. And again, all the photographs by Bill Brett. Something special. And if somebody wanted this book,
It's going to be distributed through College Hype there in Weymouth. And I've tried something a little different this time. Amazon, I'm probably going to give it some a little bit later. But I want to keep it as local as I can. And College Hype is Jack Doherty, who runs the place. Him and I are good friends. And they do a lot of products. They move out and they have a distribution center. So I said, well, why don't you guys? I'd rather give you the commission than Amazon.
who did the forward in this book?
This book was done by General Dunford, Joe Dunford. Joe Dunford is a local BC high boy, and he lives in Marshfield. He's retired. He was a chief. He was chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff for a number of years. And was he a Marine Corps Commandant too?
Yes, he was.
He was a Marine Corps Commandant. Just a wonderful man. And I approached him, and I asked him, I said, would you consider it? And he said, absolutely. He loved the idea, and I was like, he reminded me of the Irish book when David McCullough, the very famous writer, who wrote 1776, John Adams, Truman. I mean, when I approached him, and I had been friends, and I approached him, would you consider, doing the forward for me? And he's half Scotch, half Irish. And I said to David, I said, this would be good for your career. And he said to me, wait a minute, Bill, how many books have you sold in all your books? I said, well, we're working towards 100,000. I sold 25 million. Oh, so I think it will help my career. And I said, I had that backwards. I mean, he was just he passed away 2 years ago. He was a great guy. He was one of the nicest men you'd ever meet. And I've been honored that Doris Kearns Goodwin, she did one for me. I was honored to have very prominent people that would, stand with me. And but General Dunford, when you mention his name, people look at me and they said, General Dunford, did you up forward? And I said, yeah. And he did a beautiful job.
Impressive.
Yeah, I was very impressed.
I wanted to ask you, Paul, what can you say about this guy? He's like a celebrity, no doubt about it.
Oh,
You've known him, probably know him better than most people.
You better be nice, because I'm driving.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's been.
Yeah.
I've been around a long time, and I've done a lot of things, and I think I accomplished a few things. But the 2.5 years that I spent with Bill on this book, besides family things, the most gratifying couple of 2.5 years of my life, being with Bill and going out and he shooting these folks, and me doing a lot of the interviews and all, and then Bill and I discussing after. It's been just a joy, and I think the whole purpose of this is to honor veterans.
Yes, it is.
And because some of these people in here are just unbelievable.
And when we approached them, not to jump on that,
Yeah.
but we asked them, that many of them would say to us, why did you pick me? I'm just a sergeant. I was just this. I said, everybody was special, because when conflicts come all around the world, it's not just the men on the fronting line, it's the men on the supporting line. It's a whole package. And I mean, when we went to that one in Needham, the guy was turning 100 years old. Actually, the one in
Oh, that was one of the first ones?
Yeah,
Oh, that was Joe
and
Menace?
He was Menace was Hull.
Hull.
The whole family was there. I'm taking a picture, and I go,
Oh, Lee Fabry here.
oh, a Leaf Rabbit, yeah. I mean, everybody was so excited that
Yeah.
I was there. And I go, and they said, you came to photograph my grandfather? I mean, it was so yeah, you come here to, I mean, it just made me feel good. I thought, oh, Jesus, this is unbelievable. So it's been a great, out of all the books, this seemed to be very moving, personal to me, that I found out so much about some of these men and women.
Yeah.
And I was just, I'm amazed. And I said that the young people of today, they don't know what, a lot of them don't know what these people did. And without them, you wouldn't be able to walk around today. I mean, it's just amazing.
Now, you know, you turn the pages of the book, and it could be the Murray brothers there, and there's an Army Ranger, young guy, private first class. You turn the next page, and there's a 4-star general. You turn the next page, and there's a Black Hawk female helicopter pilot.
Well, first,
and there's it's just on, and a myriad of the finest people this country could produce.
Yeah.
And we met.
Well, the first
a lot of
woman Marine. I didn't know there was.
Oh, Millie, right on the
She's
on the
left
cover.
of the cover. She's 101.
Millie's 101 now. Yeah, she joined the Marine Corps at age 20 in 1943.
And where did she come from?
Quincy.
Quincy.
Yeah.
And they just erected
The
a.
city of
The
presidents.
city of
They
Presidents.
just put a statue in Marina Bay. It's the first woman Marine.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's just
And her
beautiful.
photograph is on the front cover of this book.
Something.
yeah.
Yeah, she
yeah.
was just a
The light-
terrific lady.
Yeah.
I mean, sharp as a tack.
At the Marine Corps birthday last year in Boston, they have the cake there,
Right.
and they have the youngest Marine there to help light the candles, and the oldest, and she was the oldest,
the oldest.
Marine,
Most
including men.
Yeah, that's what
but yeah.
I said to Paul. I said, "It's a woman."
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
I mean, it's always a man.
Yeah,
You know?
man.
It's interesting how things have changed, and Al's one of our younger citizens in the town of
I
Easton.
see that. Yeah.
Very active
Yes, he is.
at age 92. A lot of people in town are amazed at how active this guy is. He's got his hat on, and I wanted to thank you, Bill, for
You're
this hat.
entirely welcome.
I too would like to wear the hat
Yeah.
and let folks know that I too appreciate. What can you say about these two guys?
Well, I gotta say this. It's been a great thing to meet these guys. It was what Bill and them were saying, that they came down to see me. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and he took a picture of me, and he gave a big. I had to give him a lot of stuff I wouldn't tell him, as usual.
We drew it out of you, though.
We drew it out.
So it's been a pleasure to meet these guys, and through this, it kind of made me feel things that he told me, and we came up with a person. They'll tell you in a little bit later on. A guy named Saul.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Oh, we got
This
it.
is
Yeah.
a story that I did business with a man for many years.
That's right. He did.
And
Got that.
I never knew his background. He didn't know my background. When we corresponded together, these guys went out and reached out to him, and they'll tell the story. But it was incredible.
It really
I could
was.
tell that
You
right
tell it
now
quick.
if you.
It's a quick story.
Saul.
In 2025, Easton Community Access Television is the place to be when it comes to all things Easton, Mass. We also have a variety of other content to enjoy. We have 4 different channels that we program regularly. There's the public channel, the government channel, the education channel, and the essentials channel. There are many ways to tune into our programming. Since we're a cable station at our core, let's start with that. Eastoners who have access to Verizon or Comcast can access the programs I already talked about at the channels listed on your screen now. Not from Easton? Or maybe you cut the cord years ago? No problem at all. You can watch our channels live on our website. There, you can navigate to the channel you're looking for and tune right in. It is 2025, so we are all over social media. Our YouTube page serves as the hub of all of our on-demand content. If you want to watch something immediately, like the premiere of Expedition Easton, our YouTube is the best place to do so. We also go live on YouTube when there's a lot going on in Easton one particular night. You can also find live streams on our Facebook page. Facebook is a great place to find out what's on the docket for ECAT that night. We're also on Instagram. You can find us at each of those social media sites by scanning the respective QR code right now. "2025 is set to be the biggest year of ECAT's existence. We're celebrating 15 years while the Town of Easton celebrates its tricentennial. Please reach out to the email on your screen now to find out what we do. Last thing, we are a cable station at our core, but our content is for everyone. Even if you're not from Easton, there's something here for everybody. We've released short films, documentaries, reality shows, and much more to come. Celebrate 2025 with ECAT.
Welcome back to Veterans Appreciation. I'm Dave Clifton. I'm your host, and I have three terrific gentlemen that join us today. And of course, Bill Brett wrote some books, and he has a book here called Boston Veterans Appreciation. And I'll tell you, having looked at some of the information in the book, I think it's very gratifying to be able to see what you put together. Certainly you have the experience, Bill. You've done it before.
I've done it, yes.
And
yes.
I'm so happy that you decided to do this to honor veterans. Here we are right around the corner from November 11th.
Yeah.
And most communities have a parade like they have here in Easton. And I'm happy to talk about this as the chair of the 300th anniversary for the Town of Easton. We've been running events since early January 2025. We did have some events during the course of the year to talk and promote the history. And part of the history of the town is the veterans who have served.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I know that this book, I think you should tell our audience before we go any further, how can they get a copy of this book? And
Well, the book should be ready. It'll be ready. It'll be, the date was December 1st. We're trying to get it a little earlier, but right now, to play it safe, December 1st. And College Hype, it's collegehype.com. You just go right to them, or you can just email me at billbrett, verizon.net, and I can tell you where to find it. I mean, I'm on Facebook. I keep updates all the time. I will be putting more where, when, and different speaking engagements that I'm ready to do.
nice gift for someone to
Christmas.
give to
Yeah,
somebody.
Yeah, it's a perfect Christmas gift, as they say, But this is a celebration because we're going through 250th anniversary, which go all through next year, America. And we have the tall ships coming. We have all kinds of things for next year in Boston. When I put Boston, that means it's Boston proper. All the pictures are from the Boston area. And when you do a book to get national recognition, is that they call a library buy. And there's a committee that looks at the book, library people, and if they like, that's a big city, they buy a book for every library in America. So this book will be, hopefully, all the others have made the library book. They call it the library buy, which I never even knew it existed. And because a friend of mine told me, he said, I could just see your books in Chicago. I live in Chicago at the library in Chicago. So it makes, it's
I get that.
it's a win-win. That's the way I look at it. And there's another. The forward is General Dunford, and on the back of the book, it's another. It's Admiral Hall, who's the commander of Admiral Navy, and he's written several books. And my daughter's actually very friendly with him, and he said, I'd be more than happy to do a forward for your dad, which he did. It's a back forward, we call it. And it's going to be. I'm excited about it. Like, you imagine you had three boys all go to Harvard and ROTC. I mean, three boys go to Harvard. I mean, that's a big deal.
Right.
When I was thinking, not to Easton, when I was 10 years old, we used to come on a bus from Dorchester to Easton to Jimmy, the state representative's name was Jim Condon. He lived on my street, St. Margaret Street, and he had a farm out here. And he used to take us, the constituents, take 2 or 3 buses every summer out to the farm in Easton. It would have hot dogs, they had horses, and it was, I can still see it, I can still remember it. It was, I'm trying to remember the name of the farm. Bernice Clare Farm in Easton. I don't know who Bernice Clare was.
You know that one? I don't know that one.
No, Bernice Clare Farm.
Bernice
and
Clare.
that was a big deal. We were 8, 10 years old to get on the bus to go out here for hot dogs and, hamburgers.
Yeah.
And
Bill, tell us about the Purple Heart.
This gentleman was in Haverhill, Mass, and I got a call one day telling me about this man. And he waited 55 years. He was wounded in Vietnam, and the records were destroyed. And I believe the fire was San Diego.
I think, yeah,
I think it was
pretty
San
sure.
Diego. All the records were destroyed. And his wife pursued Congress, or Congressman Catherine Clark, as a congressman from that area. And she worked with her and other people during this whole time to see if they could, find it. And they did. And 55 years later, they called him up and said, we're going to have a presentation. It was done at the AMVETS Post.
Yeah. His name was Kevin Alder.
Yeah, Kevin Alder, his name is, and it was, I can still see him holding it when I asked him to take it out of the case to hold it. And he was so proud, and his hand was that sturdy holding that. And he's no kid either, so he was close to 80 in Vietnam. And it was just, in his eyes you can see that he was so proud that he received that, and he well deserved.
So we also congratulate all the folks out there that received the Purple Heart. We express our appreciation to each of you, and how special that is that people
Yeah.
earn that honor. And I know that there are many veterans in town that they kind of keep their efforts quiet.
Yeah, yeah.
And they don't brag about it.
No.
You know that they have served. You don't know all the details behind it, but we appreciate what you have done. Even though you may be behind the scenes, not giving yourself a pat on the back, we as a community certainly want to do that. Paul, have you been in the military yourself?
No, I was not. I like to just, if you look at on the back cover of that, Dave, and if you show that photo of the top right, on the top right, his name is Freeman Johnson. He lives in Centerville. He's 106 years old. He is the oldest Pearl Harbor survivor. He was on the USS St. Louis on December 7th, 1941, in Pearl Harbor when the Japanese attacked, and when they concentrated primarily on Battleship Row, his ship was spared. And so they nicknamed the St. Louis the Lucky Lou. And in 1943, so he escaped any injury on attack on Pearl Harbor, but in 1943 he was reassigned to the USS Iowa. And on the USS Iowa was sent on a mission up the Potomac River, and he was a crewman on that, and to pick up Franklin Delano Roosevelt, to bring Franklin Delano Roosevelt overseas, across the Mediterranean, dropped him in Cairo, Egypt, I believe, flew him to Tehran for the conference with Stalin and Churchill. After he finished with that, FDR back, they waited for him, they picked him up on the Iowa and brought him back to Washington, D.C. on the Potomac. And Freeman's, part of the story is, I said, did you ever get a chance to meet FDR? And he said, I did not. I would have liked to have. And he says, but I could tell you one thing about the USS Iowa. He said, it's the only ship in the United States Navy that has a full working bathtub on it. Obviously for Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was wheelchair bound and couldn't stand in a shower. So they put a special bathtub on the Iowa. And it was there until it was decommissioned only a couple of years ago. So that was kind of a great story. And he was on a ship, and when the Japanese signed the surrender on the USS Missouri in 1945. He was on a mast 2 ships over. He actually witnessed the signing. So he was on Pearl Harbor when they attacked, and he witnessed the actual the surrender of the signing. And we plan on seeing him in December. So,
Chapel's attack.
Yeah.
Very interesting
Yeah,
man.
106
Really,
years old
106
now.
years old.
Yeah, great guy.
I thought you looked good, Al. Cheek,
So, yeah.
Thanks, you guys.
You saw, the Saul Gurman, who you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Al.
That's
And this fella, he was lived and passed away, lived in Beverly, Massachusetts. And he was on the HMT Rona, which was a classified. That ship was crossing the Mediterranean off the coast of Algiers, and there were 2,000 United States Army personnel on there, going over to work on helicopters and things.
a British ship, right?
A British ship. It was a British transport ship that we had used, and it was attacked by there were German fighter pilots which had some kind of aerial bombs that we didn't know they had. Hit the ship, hit the Rona. 300 were killed immediately. The ship sank. There were 800 survivors. It was at sea. It was the worst sea disaster in World War II that nobody knew about. The people that passed away were informed that they were killed in battle. They didn't say why it was. It was all declassified. In November of 1943 until November of 1983, 50 years later, Saul Gurman, who was a survivor in the water, got picked up on the ship that came out to rescue the guys. 800 were picked up, over 1,000 drowned or killed in the explosion. And he was in his living room watching the nightly news with Tom Brokaw, and broke the news that it was the USS Rona, the HMT Rona was sunk in the best kept secret in World War II. And he was watching. He started crying. He was telling Bill and I,
That's great.
and he was watching, and his wife came in and said, "What's the matter?" And he says, "This," and she said, "What?" He took an oath. They all took an oath, all the survivors,
Not to talk about it.
not to talk about it, because they didn't want the Germans to know that we didn't know that they had that particular kind of bomb. And he said, "I was on that." And so after 50 years, he never told his wife
Never told us
that he was on that. And then since that, he and more than several other survivors went around and did a lot of speaking engagements and talked about it. But it was the worst single sea disaster in the Second World War.
Yeah.
And nobody knew about
Nobody
it
knew.
until 1983. Quite a story.
It was quite a story.
Yeah.
He was telling us that it was very moving listening to it.
Oh.
And I'm photographing it as he's talking about it. It's kind of an interesting picture.
Very, very good.
Let me ask you a question, the three of you. Do you think there's a possibility that we could do a better job of honoring veterans who have served our country? I know that some people go out of their way. Some people really don't know
Right.
what's happening.
I think the schools got to do a better job, high schools, starting with high schools, as a curriculum into the military, into what they do and who they are, because every student has somebody in their family that was in the military and why they were in the military. And I just don't know if the schools are explaining that. A lot of these young people I talk with, they don't know what I'm talking about. And I think the government has a responsibility to educate them, through cities and towns. And some towns are very active and others aren't.
I think the current VA administration
Well, they're doing a good job.
has really come to the fore on this. I mean, we talked to a lot of people who use veteran services,
They're very happy.
and very happy, and that includes even Brockton. We visited. Brockton has a place down there where they actually have live-in residents, and we have a woman in there, Patricia Thomas, who lives there. She has spinal cord injury. She was in the Army, and but not only she, but there are so many we've talked to about the VA, and other ones that may not be part of the book that we both know Bill personally, that swear by the VA today.
Congressman.
It wasn't like that 20 years
Wasn't.
ago.
I can remember guys
know,
who I used to drive out there, and they
Yeah.
oh, it was terrible service. This was that. But I like the congressman from here, Congressman Steve Lynch. He's been a big advocate for those guys, and he wasn't a veteran, but boy,
Yeah.
he is big time with it.
South Boston.
South Boston
Yeah.
boy, yeah. But I think he represents Easton.
Him and
This
Ray
area.
Flynn.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. My wife and I donate periodically clothes to the Veterans Hospital. And it was right after the Patriots won their last Super Bowl. I had a brand new jacket with the Patriots on it.
Yeah.
And we brought the clothes over. And there was a gentleman sitting in a wheelchair. He was a veteran that was injured. And he saw the jacket and he fell in love with the jacket, and he talked about the Patriots. And he gave us a little history of how he served. And so on the way out to the car, I excused myself to my wife and I went back in. And I found myself taking the jacket off that I loved. And I said to the veteran, I said, "You're the one that deserves this."
Yeah. It's
He
nice.
loved it so much.
That's a nice thing for you to do.
I felt like $1 million
I was
for
going to
doing
say, I
it.
bet you felt better than he did.
Yeah.
It was kind of a chilly day out.
Yeah.
I came out in the car and my wife says,
Where's your coat?
"You forgot
You
your
got
coat." I said, "It's in a good place
in a good-
on
yeah.
a permanent basis."
Yeah.
But I felt good about it. And I'm just wondering, maybe there are other folks out there in the community that might find a way to do something special for a veteran who made lots of sacrifices
Yeah.
when he or she joined the military.
Good point, Dave.
Very good point. Yeah.
It's something that we should think about. I wanted to ask each of you to give some final comments. And Bill, I'm going to start with you again about your book, about the books that you've written, about your career with the Boston Globe, the fact that you've been recognized by many people. You had fun with your job.
I did.
What can you say
Well,
about your experience?
I've been a very lucky guy. My mother was behind me 100%. She had no idea what I was doing. And my wife, 53 years, has supported me every bit of the way. And we have this home base covered. When I left the house to make a picture, I was gone. And every day has been a gift. I mean, I've had my bumps in the road. I survived a helicopter crash during the blizzard of '78, and I thought it was over, but it wasn't. And I've been in places where, a lot of tragedies have happened in front of me, and I was 17 when several firefighters were killed down in Trumbull Street in the South End. A wall collapsed in front of us. David Mugar was with me. When the wall came down, there was three firefighters, four, that was killed at the scene. And one of them was a deputy chief's son. I can still see him grabbing his son. And I said, this is unbelievable to see something like this. But on the other side of the coin, I've seen happiness with a lot of great scenes, a lot of great events that people were so happy to have their picture taken, and I was honored that I was the one that was taking the picture. And I always said to my brothers and sisters, my brother Harry, he followed me. He's a photographer. My daughter followed me as a photographer, and his daughter followed him as a photographer. So we started our own little, our own team. And I have one son. I have 3 daughters, 1 son. I thought he was going to be a photographer because he came with me for a lot of things, but he just wanted to meet the sports people. He came to Super Bowls and World Series. And he talks about, we went to Cooperstown for 13 years in a row for the induction. And my son every day talks about it. And my daughters would say, I asked them if they wanted to come. No, they didn't want to go. That's okay. So Tim says, I'm with you, Dad. And every day as I don't know what I was going to do, where I was going to be, but I was always ready to take the picture. And it was very, I think that's what made me a happy person. It gave me a happy home life. And as I said, my wife was behind me 100% because she knew I loved what I did, and I brought it home.
And thank you, Bill Brett, an award-winning photographer and a journalist with the Boston Globe. I'm sure they were happy to have you.
Yep, I
You
think
had a
so.
wonderful career. You
Yep.
enjoyed it.
Yep,
God bless you.
yeah, thank you, thank you.
Paul Doyle, I know you speak well about Bill Brett, and he speaks well about you. You've been a dedicated friend, no doubt about it.
Well, you know, we seem to think alike in a lot of areas, especially when it's, you know, when people say, gee, why do you do these types of things? And you seem to help a lot of people. And he and I both say, isn't that what we're supposed to do?
Yeah.
And I think we both feel that way.
Yeah.
And don't do these things and other things that I know he does and I do, you know, because people need help and we're in a position to help, and we do. And in a case like this, let some of these people's stories be known. And along the way, a lot of the stories we've heard, we've done other things to help some of these people along the way. And we'll continue to do that. And we owe these people a lot.
It was the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's the right thing. It's simple.
And Al, I know of someone that's going to buy a couple of books because you're in it. And
Is it 2L now? We're up to 2?
so I just want you to tell our viewing audience your feeling about serving veterans.
Well, I was very, very fortunate. I came in very young fella. I was very young. And my experience made me a stronger person in the Navy. And I made a career in civilian life. And I was very fortunate that I had a wonderful wife, 72 years. And followed me all over the country. And I was very, very fortunate, the career that I ended up in civilian life, financially. And it's been a good trip, but I hope I get another 5 years.
I get more than that,
More
Al.
than that, Al. We need you.
Of course, Al is a former boxer during his early years.
That's true.
Lightweight, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you're heavyweight then?
No, believe I was a little younger than that. I was only a kid in the Golden Gloves.
Golden
Golden
gloves.
gloves, okay.
Yeah.
Well, again, I want to take this opportunity to thank the three of you.
Thank you for
I'm,
allowing us to come down to talk
So
about
pleased to be able to host this kind of a show. And of course, it's been a busy year here in the town of Easton
yeah.
with the 300th anniversary celebration. We have a bonfire coming up on Saturday. That's October 11th. It'll be at the high school complex. And of course, it'll involve, at no cost, a barbecue. There'll be a flashlight that'll be given out to everybody in attendance, in keeping with our theme of lighting up the celebration. The fire chief has the bonfire that'll be under control, and we have hot chocolate and cookies. We have a complete barbecue. It's going to be a fun time for families to come together. Make sure you bring your chair, bring a blanket, and enjoy one of our final events that are coming up this year as part of a year-round celebration. We have a car show coming up on the morning of October 11th from 9 to 2 p.m. at Portland State Park. We thank you, Dale Thistle, for coordinating a car show that may end up with about 300 cars that'll be available to talk about the history of vehicles here in the town of Easton and all the guests that will join us. And it's kind of interesting to know that it's not too far away, but December 27th will be our gala, an anniversary gala that takes place at Stonehill College. It'll be in the athletic facility that holds about 1,000 people. And this is the only event out of the 20 we've had all year that you have to pay a fee to attend. A big shout out and thank you to all the sponsors and to the hundreds of volunteers who have been involved in our celebration. And today, our show has been a very special show to express our appreciation to veterans. We have with us someone who wrote a book on it. He's had the experience with the Boston Globe, and from what I've seen in the book, it's going to be absolutely terrific. And how much is the book for sale, Bill?
Oh, it's probably about $300. No, I think
That's to Al.
That's to Al. I think we're around $50 right now.
Yeah.
Paper costs have gone crazy in the last 18 months.
And that's the exact cost of our anniversary book
Yeah.
that'll be available come January. But you can order the books in advance. I'd like to close our show by not only thanking once again the folks that joined us to recognize and to appreciate veterans. Whether you're in the Army, the Navy, the Coast Guard, the Air Force, the Marines, or maybe the Space Force, we appreciate your efforts. We appreciate you coming forth to serve our country. And I always mention that quote, and I think it was Gandhi who once said, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of helping others. So if you decide someday you want to do something to help someone out, do it with a smile on your face and do it with the dignity that it deserves. The next time, folks, that you see someone who has served in our military, please go up, reach your hand out, shake their hands, and say thank you for serving. Again, we thank you for joining us today. This has been a production of ECAT, Easton Community Access Television, and we thank you, Adam, for your leadership in putting this show together.